Hello, comadres, and welcome to the Moon Report. My name is Marlene, your resident moon goddess, and I am here with a full moon report in Scorpio, total lunar eclipse. It is a doozy, comadres. We are in for a lot of stuff. In addition to that mouthful that I just said, we have more things like Mercury in retrograde and like Jupiter in Aries. And I'll try to explain these things for the new comadres that are here. Welcome, welcome. If you're watching live or if you're here joining us, on Zoom live, or if you're catching this on the replay, we love that you're here. We're so happy that you're here. And to all the returning comadres, hello, welcome, welcome. So there's a lot to cover. I'm going to get started and I'm going to try to explain all of it as best as I can. But I can assure you that most of us that are here have already been feeling the effects of this full moon in Scorpio lunar eclipse. I can guarantee that. And hopefully this full moon starts to bring down the intensity a bit and more the illumination of what is going on and what are the lessons that we're being taught right now. Like what has been coming up and what does it mean for us to use it later, for it to be applicable in our lives, for us to dump what it is that we don't need and move into a space of more clarity, of transformation, of change. So let's get started first with Scorpio. Scorpio is a sign of transformation. It helps us be in that transformative process. And it helps us understand the cycle of death and rebirth. So there's a lot that happens in Scorpio, a lot of levels of power, a lot of levels of understanding of who we are at an extremely radical depth. And that's why the intensity of Scorpio is high to begin with as a sign. Plus a full moon, when we're in a full moon, that means that it is directly opposing the sun and the light of the sun is illuminating its entire face, right? So it is an illumination process. It is a process of showing us. So it's an intense process because it's in a culmination. So full moons tend to be intense. Some of us maybe can't sleep too well. It affects us in different ways depending where it's happening in our natal charts, which is the chart that we get when we are born, meaning what the solar system looks like, rather, when we are born, the time that we are born, the location that we are born, the date that we are born, okay? So it's an intense time to begin with. Then you add a lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse on top of that, which just makes everything supercharged. And then a really pleasant Mercury retrograde in the mix. So that means that when a planet is in retrograde, it appears to be going backwards in the solar system. So in this case, it's Mercury that's in retrograde and Pluto that is in retrograde as well. So the lessons that come along with a Mercury retrograde, which is happening till June 3rd, they come along with an intensity as well, because things aren't working. It feels like you're working against the grind. Technology gets distorted. This retrograde is in Gemini. It's in Gemini and Taurus, because as it goes retrograde, it'll go back into Taurus, but it's happening in Gemini right now. And it's really interrupting the flow of things, the network of things, okay? So all that to say, we are in an intense time. And we are taking in what we're learning and we're working through the shadows of that. Scorpio is what's hidden, right? It's like what's under. Some astrologers like to describe it as what's under, like the roots that are under the ground, right? And Taurus, which is right across from Scorpio, where the sun is, shows us what is growing, what is above the earth. But sometimes it doesn't really let us know what's going on under. So it is within this axiom, within this axis, that this full moon is happening and this lunar eclipse is happening. And we also have the south node and the north node where eclipses happen. Now, the nodes belong to the moon. The moon has two nodes, the south and the north. And for the New York comadres that are here, the north node tells us where we're going as a collective. And the south node tells us where we came from, our karmic lessons, things that we have gone through and learned and are try to bring with us. So this is happening in that axiom of what is under the surface and what is above, right? And what you can see. So we're going to be working with our shadows. And a lot is going to come up about the transformative work that happens around looking at our darkness and embracing our wounds and really being okay with that, a certain sense of surrender and acceptance that comes along with the understanding that we are more than our wounds. We may act from them sometimes, we may be feeling trapped in them sometimes, but we are more than them and we can transform them. And we can leave them behind and leave any old story behind by making a choice. So what is no longer feeling powerful in your life? This full moon is about releasing. Most full moons, comadres, are about releasing, right? The full moon comes to a culmination, and here we see what is no longer working for us. So we begin to shed that part. Being that is Scorpio, an extra level of deeper shedding is going on that is going to bring pain, struggle, challenges, conflict, friction, you know, because it is drudging up that trauma, it is drudging up those wounds, it is showing us the wounds in others. Right now, it feels like you can't hide. Don't try to play because it's not going to work. Everyone sees it just like you see it in everyone else. And probably most of you know what I'm talking about. So in that dynamic of what we can see and what is hidden under, we're being asked to shed in a really, really deep level, leaving behind what doesn't work. And I know I come on here talking about shedding what doesn't work so much, but here we get a chance to cut in even further, really pull it from the root. If we can trust in ourselves, in what we value, in what our true calling is, what is true for you inside. Reflect on that. What grounds you? What stabilizes you? Because when you're letting go of these things, and maybe you're thinking about what you're going to release, really let go of things that move you towards what stabilizes you, right? Cut, Scorpio, what doesn't, what keeps you unstabilized or chaotic, and move towards Taurus, stabilization, grounding based on what you value. So those are the types of reflections, and look at these things around the theme of power. How do you accept or surrender to power in your life? Either the power inside of you or things that you no longer have control over, the power of the universe. We are coexisting with our source, whatever that source may be. So always take into consideration that surrender process of thy will. And your will as well, you know, my will and thy will, that coexistence. And I'm bringing that up because in this cleansing, we are growing and there is pain, maybe, you know, but why? Well, what have we not let go of? Like, you need to get really real with yourself right now. It is the time to get real. And get real with the fact that you haven't gotten really real with yourself if you're still struggling over something, if it's still triggering you and bringing things up. There is a speck, maybe a boulder, who knows, depending on what's going on, that you're still holding on to, you know, and that's okay. Because you know what? We're freaking human. Give yourself a break. If you're still holding on to some old baggage that you wish you would have let go of 10 years ago, oh well, here we are. There's an acceptance and there's a surrender in that. But you know what there is also? A moment of transformation and change if you want it. And if you're willing to step powerfully into it. Here's your chance, here's your open door, here's your portal to move into some power that you know has been calling you, that you know has been hanging out, waiting for you to make up your mind. And I'm also bringing this kind of change up because Jupiter has moved into Aries from Pisces. Now, what does that mean? The planet Jupiter, the planet of expansion, the planet of learning, growing, love, you know, is moving from Pisces, where it's been in this dreamy kind of Neptunian kind of, you know, beyond us elusive kind of place, into Aries, which is fire, from water to fire, and from collective to individual and self. So now Jupiter is asking for our expansion from May 10th to October 27th in the area of bravery. Where can you be brave? And this is going to be a major change of pace, you know. With fire, we move quick, things change quickly. And it's based on the transformation of you, who you are, the expansion of you, right? And then within that individualistic approach, always keeping, you know, the lesson for Aries is always thinking of others as well, right? Not ramming them over, right? In the process. You know, it's like, think about baby fire, you know, like just immature fire, not knowing, being chaotic and burning everything down. So we have to choose our words wisely during this time, especially because Mercury is in retrograde in Gemini, and our communication may be, you know, there may be mishaps. People may have misunderstandings about what you said or what you meant. They may not communicate that to you and hold it in. You know, there's something here about really taking a step back and choosing what we're going to say next. Because there's a lot of power in our words right now. There's always power in words, but the way that we direct them and the frequency that we send them out is very important as well. So be mindful. Be mindful of what you're saying. Choose your words wisely. Intensity may get high, and we want to make sure that you know what you're saying. Then it's, you know, this Jupiter and Aries dynamic is going to be happening for most of the year, because it's from now until October 27th, and then again in December 20th at the end of the year to May. So it's almost going to be a year, May 16th, a little bit more than a year, actually. So, you know, what this means is that it wants you to win. Jupiter wants you to win, and it's going to coach you in that way. almost like if you're getting trained for a sport, you know, or you're being coached, health coached, you know, it really is going to be in your corner for you to expand yourself, to be brave in your life, to be powerful. There's growth here. But right now it's our opportunity to remove things that we deeply haven't really looked at, or there may still be some remnants or something that maybe has come to light during this full moon and has illuminated during this full moon. Use this time to really reflect on letting go of those things around wounds, around hidden secrets, around relationships. Relationships is big, big right now. Big. So what are you being shown about relationships around you? Okay. I hope you're feeling good. You know, I hope you're, you know, feeling powerful, feeling centered. If you're not, that's okay too. And I really want to emphasize that it's okay to not feel like you have it together right now, because things are intense and we are dealing with a lot of new frequencies on the planet, a lot of things that we've never experienced before as a collective during this time, things that we, you know, that are repeating themselves in history, you know, things that we are not understanding what we're seeing. And it's okay to feel like you're not grounded right now and you're a little bit, you know, in your head and anxious. So go back to Taurus. What does your body want? What do you ring to be true in your body? How do you nurture that? How do you take care of that? Right? How do you self-care around that? We are cleansing and growing. We are evolving. And it's really okay to not feel okay. So I'm sending you lots of love if that's the case. And I'm sending you lots of love, whether that's the case or not, actually. I always am. And it's always such a pleasure to share space with you and share this knowledge and wisdom that has been shared with me. So your presence here is so, so appreciated. Thank you, comadre, for being here. I love you. Big hug, big love. Enjoy this full moon. See you soon.